Jennifer Marie Lewis, file number 23R 702475.
Good morning, Your Honor. Edward Zelenak, appearing before the defendant. Ma'am, would you give your name to the judge, please?
Jennifer Lewis.
So have you talked to Mr. Bresnahan?
No, I need to. She was arrested last week.
What does she have?
Her last one was 23 years ago, Your Honor. This is part of that.
Is this a second offense or first?
This is she's charged as a felony.
I'm sorry.
It's her first felony.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. When was the first one?
1999.
And when was the second?
2000. I think 2000, 2001.
What is the breathalyzer of blood, Mr. Zelnick?
What was your breath?
No. I don't want you to answer anything.
I don't remember. I got to look at the report.
That's okay.
It was up there. Judge was up there.
Here's the thing. I'm just going to be honest with you. The prosecutor's office continues to insist on conditions that we're not signing off on.
I know.
No, I want you to hear me out because I'm not going to be frustrated with them again. I'm just not. I've only been telling them this for 7-8 years. I mean, this new crime thing, the defendant will serve a year. If expelled from sobriety court, defendant to serve a year. I thought judges were supposed to sentence. Forgive me, but I didn't think the prosecutor's office got to sentence on a probation violation. They never did when I was a lawyer, and I've never seen them or heard of them dictating what's going to happen. If you have, tell me, on a probation violation in the circuit court. So they plead down a GBH to something as an example, and then they tell them, well, the defendant's going to serve the maximum provided or 6 years if they violate and they don't get. So I don't mind adjourning, but I'm only doing a week. And if he brings me back anything closely resembling anything about an in-crime, because listen, I made up my mind I wasn't going to go through this anymore. It has been frustrating to the point of, first of all, I think, honestly, how do I say this? I think they're almost setting up lawyers on a malpractice suit. Either that or they're setting up judges to come back and say, well, the judge was supposed to give him a year because he got convicted of no ops. I'm not signing off on any plea where I'm not prepared to enforce what's written on the stipulated plea agreement. That makes me a bad judge, in my opinion. So I'm not going to be a bad judge. But they've done this, and I've only fought this thing for years. You know, I remember I started the sobriety court in 2008. And it's just, if there's a new crime, if they don't get through, if they 60 days. I don't have a problem with their upfront jail term. What I do have a problem with them is writing things on a stick form that I'm simply not going to order. They're not the sentencing judge. They never ran for judge. And if they want to run for judge or get appointed, God bless them. But I'm not doing it. So I'll give you, Mr. Zelnick, I'll give you a week I'll adjourn the PCC a week.
That works.
And I'll adjourn but I'm telling you, they're not going to come back with something that's acceptable when they start writing if another crime. And I'm not going to fight with them anymore. I'm not going to argue with them anymore. I'm not going to explain my position anymore. I mean, a third grader could have gotten it back in 2015. So I'll do that, but.
And I'll explain those panic terms.
You don't need to. They know. I put it in an email 6-8 months ago.
No, I just want to let her know, Judge, what
so anyway, if you want to do this, I don't have a problem. But if you don't get anywhere.
We'll face things. Your Honor, I've had it happen before with people who have been in the same situation, and the law is patently unfair when it punishes someone that has over 2 decades of sobriety. However, I did discuss sobriety court with my client who said she's ready to make that step because she's got to get away from alcohol. Now, I don't know if that means that you've been lucky for the last 23 years or whatever, but she hasn't been charged with anything. And I agree with you with Mr. Bresnahan, but Judge, that's why I have an eraser, and I'll bring a blue marker, Sharpie, and cross out everything I don't like. And I always say that the judge still has the absolute discretion. If they want to then take the plea off the table, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not afraid to challenge that issue.
I have asked nicely whether they tell circuit judges what to do when there's a probation violation. Like, does it make any sense to you that if somebody starts sobriety court today and they abscond, that the stipulated plea agreement wording requires them to get a year, yet somebody who has been in the program for 21 months that struggles, can't get through the program? If I can't see that there's a distinction there between somebody who deserves a year and somebody who deserves much less than a year, then I'm not doing very well up here. So
Judge, I agree with you completely.
I know, everybody agrees with me.
I mean, it's the same thing like the state police, Judge, the same problem.
But they don't change it. So, ma'am, if you want me to adjourn this, I will. You have the right to a probable cause conference within 14 days of the date of the arraignment. Your lawyer says he wants me to adjourn this. If I adjourn this, that means the probable cause conference will not take place within 14 days of the date of the arraignment. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I'm thinking, Your Honor, why don't we just leave the exam next week and we'll punt?
You do whatever you want.
I don't want to belabor the case, because if she has to take a plea, but this is an instance where one doesn't deserve a felony, and I'm tired of going to Richard Hathaway to get a better bargain downtown where they overlook these things. Now, we'll stick with what you're saying. I don't want to burden this court with my case if it's not going to work out.
You don't need to burden me. You don't need to worry.
All right, then
about
we'll take the adjournment, Judge.
All right, so if I give you that, do you understand?
Yes.
You're giving up those
Do
time.
you wish to waive that right?
Yes.
Anybody force you to do that?
No.
I'm gonna accept the waiver. I'm gonna give you February the 21, and I'm going to give you March the 7th. But I just can't have any more adjournments.
No, that's
after
fine,
that.
Judge.
The only thing I ask is that you pursue this, and if it isn't going to pan out, then I'm going to ask you to either go with the exam or waive, whatever the case may be. I just don't want to go through it again. So we'll make this at 8:30 on the 21st, 10 o'clock on March the 7th. Okay.
Fair enough. And Judge, I'm just going to take the liberty of notifying Rockwood, because they've been decent. They've provided us with all the paperwork before we need a discovery of the date. And if there's a problem for them on the exam date, I'll advise the court.
And she's on a sober link, right?
Yes.
And you've been going to AA, right?
Yes.
And you've shown that to your lawyer today?
It's in my purse.
She has it in her purse. but
Yeah, in the car.
When we spoke on the weekend, she showed me.
Okay, good. So you got to
She's got the
continue
books
going
ready.
3 times a week. You go down the hall, get your notice. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Judge, where will she get the sobriety court papers? Because it might be too burdensome. Because
She can get them right
single mother too.
at probation.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay?
And
Thanks.
if otherwise, Judge, we'll just punt. That worked out at the Super Bowl, so it might work for us too. We'll avoid the touchdown to get.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Judge. And that's coming from a non-football fan, Judge.
Take care. Thank you. Thanks, Detective. Thanks a lot.
No problem, Your Honor. I got a couple more.
This is not going to work again, Mr. Zelnick.
Judge, I know that, and Your Honor, Mr. Kazak did reduce, when you look at some of his notes, he says what he said on the record here, which you'll recall seeing it very.
Jennifer Marie Lewis, 23R 702475.
Your Honor.
Every time I have an OWI 3, they talk about sobriety court, it goes on ad infinitum. You know what I mean? Your appearance.
Edward Zelenak for the beleaguered defendant who keeps coming here, and she doesn't want a felony just because she's middle-aged, near that, with a young child, and her last drinking offense was 23 years ago. This is an oppressive suggestion by the today oppressive prosecutor's office.
Your name?
Jennifer Lewis.
Call it Mr. Sean?
I don't want to put him on the spot, Judge. I'm not asking him to stick his neck out for
No,
him.
I'm not asking anybody to do anything. I just want to talk to him. I need Mr.
I'll walk in and get him, Judge.
Tell you what. Every every single time. It happens with them on these. It's not that hard. I need the prosecutor in here, please. It's just not that hard. I mean, these,
No, I don't think,
it
Mr.
just becomes
President,
a complicated web of,
obfuscation. That's a good word.
I don't
Remember that
even
one.
know that there's a word for it, to be honest
Well, I
with
got
you.
that one out of Mad Magazine when I was a kid, but it means exactly what you're, other than cluster, whatever. That's what it means.
Who's the detective on this?
Steve, Lieutenant Steve Merker.
Get Mercure in here, please.
I don't think he's here.
I need Mercure, team. Your name?
Good morning, Your Honor. Omar Shazma on behalf of the people, PH 6332.
I don't want to know, I'm so sorry about Mr. Kazak. I really am. I don't know what's going on. Is it anticipated he's going to be here next week?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you know anything about this plea?
Your Honor, this is an OWI third plea to the OWI second. However, I don't understand that there's terms in that
I know,
plea that
I know. There always is.
this court isn't reluctant to accept. Therefore, I want to confer with Gary Bresnahan to make sure this is going to be possible.
What kind of terms? I thought I was told. I'm
Mr. Kazak might have been too generous on the record last time.
certain, 100%.
And
It doesn't happen that way.
I know, Judge.
I'm sorry. I'm not going on with this. We're going to do the exam. I really am sorry. I've told you that this happens every single time with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. They want to tell us what to do when there's a violation on a sobriety court case. They're not the judge. They are not the judge. They don't tell judges down there what to do in circuit court if there's a violation on a probation case. But they want to tell us what to do. It's inappropriate. I've repeatedly said this for at least 7 or 8 years. I'm sorry, you get your witnesses. We're going to the exam. I'm sorry, Mr. Zelnick. I really am, because this is just going to drag out until July and we're not going to do it anymore.
I would suspect, because I indicated that if the plea wasn't accepted, that she would waive the exam, and I don't want to put an unfair burden.
I don't want you to worry about unfair burdens. They can get their witnesses here and we can do this case and we can have an exam if you'd like. I think my frustration level with the prosecutor's office, I'm not alone. Let's just put it that way. Perhaps I've been the most vocal about it. I sent a letter to Mr. Kazak months ago about don't send me these anymore. They want to tell us what we're supposed to do. They're convicted of a crime. Well, expired license is a crime. Improper plate's a crime. No ops on person is a crime. Trespass is a crime. And then they want to say, well, then they get 1 year. What kind of justice is that? And I knew when Mr. Kazak told me that, I saw this is it might not be a 360 from what they presented, but it's at least a 320 from what they presented last time. Because then they said in the discretion of the court, Mr. Bresnahan and the prosecutor's office are not going to tell us what to do. Period. Plain simple. They want to come up, if they want to have a sentence agreement, I can accept it, I can reject it. But to tell us what to do in the event of a probation violation, no. I just find it to be wholly and completely inappropriate. I really do. I'd like to accommodate you, Mr. Zelnick, and I would if I thought there was a 5% chance that this would resolve again next week, but it's been going on. And I'm sure he was too generous with what he put on the record, because I've never heard them say in the discretion of the court. They don't want the court to have discretion. They want to tell us what happens if somebody flunks out of sobriety court. And as I have pointed out ad infinitum, if somebody is going through sobriety court, they have an addiction, and we understand that. And for them to tell us you have to give a year, no, not going to happen. That's not fair. It's not fair to the defendant. It's not fair to the system. They're not going to tell us what to do on a probation violation. I don't know how many times I got to say it. I don't understand it. So when you talk to these guys, counsel, you're a young lawyer. I like having you here. You're very respectful. Find out how many times they tell judges in the circuit court, what they're going to do in the event of a probation violation. I want to know what, I want to see that they do it on every case. Murder, rape, robbery, larceny, B&E. They're not going to do it. They're not the judge. They're overstepping their bounds. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna do this. I'll be glad to accommodate you and have you wait. Mr. Lieutenant, you can get your officers here. We could do it this afternoon. Be happy to accommodate you, Mr. Zelnick. And I would do so again if I thought there was a chance. You have no idea how many conversations and correspondence that I've had regarding this. I find it ridiculous that they want to tell the judges what to do. They're not our boss, right? I mean, you don't tell me what to do. Defense lawyers don't tell me what to do. Why does the prosecutor's office think they're going to tell us what to do? That's the way I feel about it. And with their complete lack of resources, as far as I'm concerned, they waste resources by insisting on these kinds of things. And I'm in their corner in terms of understanding they don't have enough lawyers there. There's no way they have enough lawyers there. And they certainly don't have enough experienced lawyers. And I feel for them. I really do. But by the same token, you gotta expend your resources in an appropriate way. And I've found that on these OWI-3 cases, they insist on conditions that any good judge, in my opinion, will not live with. So that's it. Guys, do what you want to do, but
Judge,
I'll be
so we
glad.
don't burden, I know they're not going to have the witnesses today. Lieutenant Mayor Kerr is off the screen, and I would not do this to the department by moving to go forward today. You wouldn't indulge one other week,
I've
Judge?
done, you guys been.
I know you have, Judge. I don't-
Anytime you guys been here on this.
We had an agreement.
Nobody should be calling off witnesses unless and until there's a waiver. So you guys have this has been going on since February 3rd. I mean, we've had 3-4 court hearings. It's the same
Yeah, this is our
old
third
thing.
time here,
I told you this was going to happen. I told you this was going to happen. We had our first PCC February 14th. So, I mean, if I thought it was going to resolve, I would be more than happy to accommodate you, but I am completely confident that it's not. That was a shocking revelation that Mr. Kazak had for me 2 years ago about the terms, because they've never done that. They've never thought that it might be the judge's ability to determine what the sentence would be in the event of a violation.
Well, we can't do anything. He's in the hospital. Mr. Bresnahan's in Mexico, probably on a beach.
So I don't care where Mr. President.
We have no means of
Lieutenant,
resolving.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to get your
Right,
witnesses here.
Judge, No. Ms. Lewis doesn't want the police to bring the witnesses in. Is that correct? And go through an exam and be bound over?
Listen, I don't have a problem. They shouldn't be calling witnesses off either.
No, I call the witnesses off. Judge,
Well-
I placed on the record that it would be a waiver if there was no agreement. And the defendant's going to have to accept that.
And let's just be candid about it. There's not an agreement entirely unrelated to the fact that Mr. Kazak has an illness right now. This is not unique. It is completely frustrating. Every OWI-3 case where there's sobriety court, they do the same thing. Same thing. I mean, if I thought for 1 minute that there would be a chance it would resolve to the satisfaction of a judge, I'd be glad to give you the adjournment, but it's not. It doesn't. It won't. It hasn't. And I think you just underscored that when you said maybe Mr. Kazak was too generous. I've seen that in the past too.
Your Honor, may we pass for a moment?
Sure, take your time.
And I
I don't
know
have
the
a
counsel
problem.
doesn't want to stick his neck out either, but if I could get a plea to us straight up, we could resolve it today. If they can't do that today, I'll talk about.
What do you mean
waiver.
do it straight up?
Straight up to OWI. Because the other two were over 23 years ago.
Your Honor, I can't authorize that.
I'm not getting in the middle of you guys' plea agreements.
No, and if you can't make a call, then we'll discuss a waiver and I'll call Lieutenant Mayor.
I don't mind having Lieutenant Mercure bring his witnesses. We can do this exam. We can do it in the afternoon. I don't have any problem with that. I'll accommodate. I'll do it at 3:30 if we need to. He can get his witnesses here.
Yeah, I won my other case. We're not going to trial today, so I have time. So.
But I don't mind, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time at all. It's just, it gets so frustrating on these drunk driving 3 cases. I can't seem to convince anybody of how wrong this is. I personally think it's malpractice for a lawyer to agree to the terms and conditions that the prosecutor's office puts out. If there's a crime, defendant shall be incarcerated for 1 year. What is that? I mean, what is that? Or do they do on an assault with intent to murder when they have a plea agreement, say if the defendant's convicted of a crime, defendant shall do life? I mean, do they do that, or do they just specify it's going to be 10 years? It's so inappropriate. And I not quite understand. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Bresnahan. I really do. But when it comes to these OWI 3s, I don't know what it's based on. I did defense work, Mr. Zolnick. I'm going back 30 years now, but I don't remember them putting in plea agreements ever on misdemeanors or felonies. If this happens, then the judge has to give this. I think it's so inappropriate. I know I'm just rambling now. You take all the time you need, but I'm just
No,
telling
may I have a
you.
moment to pass to
You
discuss
take your
the
time.
metrics?
You take your
And I'm going to
time.
give Lieutenant Mayor Kerr a call.
You take your time. I'll be glad to have them get the witnesses here.
Your Honor, regardless of what the prosecutor did, Mr. Kazak said here on the record, my word counts. I'm not going to impose a burden on the Rockwood Police
You're
Department.
not imposing a burden. You're not imposing a burden. Mr. Kazak, what he said, if they aren't willing to offer that today, then you certainly are not going back on any word by saying I'm going to the exam. That's
All right.
That's not you going back. I'll tell you if I think you're going back on your word. I don't think you
Thank
are
you.
at all. Okay, so take your
We'll
time.
take a moment. We're going to step
Thanks.
outside. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant, I'll give you a call in a moment.
Garcetti, Terrell, Cummings, 210B62662.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Michael Crawford, representing Mr. Defendants and approaches voting.
Name, sir?
Rossetti Terrell Cummings.
Counsel, he's got a 3-2. Let me see his AA slips.
Your Honor, I did get an opportunity to take a look. He has been attending as ordered.
Can I tell you something? I think he needs sobriety court. I'm going to be completely honest with you. You've got retail fraud, disorderly, open intox, operating while intoxicated. You got a bench warrant for disorderly. You got a bench warrant for public intox. I'm going to give you your choice. You either get into sobriety court or I'm going to send you to jail. You need some help. You are 35 years old. This is a who's who of criminal convictions here. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 convictions involving alcohol at minimum. That doesn't include a retail fraud, disorderly person. So that's it. You're either going to get into sobriety court or I'm going to send you to jail. Sobriety court's very intensive. Where do you live at? Detroit.
No, he lives in Ypsilanti, Your Honor. He doesn't have a vehicle, so it's going to be very difficult.
I don't have a problem with him telling me he can't do it, but I'm just telling you, he's going to have to go to jail today. I can't have somebody with a 3-2. No. So it's up to him. It's not going to be for a long time, but he's going to have to get his act together. You still on the sober link, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't mean to push panic buttons here, but this one scares me. I don't mind telling you, you keep drinking like this. I mean, I'm going to just tell you my sense. I don't read statistical data, but I venture to guess that 99.8% of the people in the country be vomiting and passed out long before they got to 3-2 with that. And the only signal I'm trying to tell you is that tells me you got a serious problem. And there's nothing wrong with having a serious problem as long as you keep it under control. You don't violate laws. You don't go out and drink and drive. I'm trying to help you because I don't want anything to happen to you. You don't want to die. You're too young. I'm serious. So, yeah, I know it's a 2010 case, but you Got these others here too. I'd like you to think about sobriety court. In 45 days, you are eligible from the time of who owned this vehicle? Who owned this vehicle?
His cousin's girlfriend's car.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no license and he's driving somebody else's car. And I'm just telling you, you can get a restricted license once you get into sobriety court after, I believe it's 45 days, right? I forgot.
Yeah, I think it's 45 days.
Just I've not done sobriety court in a couple of years, but I'd like you to think about it. It's not intended to be punishment. It really isn't. Want to think about it, or you want to just tell me, Judge, I don't want to do it?
Could we adjourn the matter, give him some time?
I'll do the sobriety court. I don't want to go to jail, Your Honor.
I want you to do sobriety court because you want to do sobriety court, because you want to clean up your life.
I absolutely want to clean up my life, Your Honor.
Lisa, give me another sentence. We're going to try sobriety court.
April 26th at 8:30. I'm sorry, 9:30.
April 26th at 9:30. So I'm going to send you over to probation. I'm going to hand you back your AA verification. Yeah. And I'm going to you're going to go over and meet with probation. You're going to go down the hall and get your notice, and they're going to set you up. I just think with the more I read this is not good. Why haven't you surrendered on those warrants?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Why haven't you surrendered on those warrants that I named off?
So why didn't I surrender?
Yeah.
During that time, Your Honor, I honestly.
No, I know, I got it, but one was at 15, one was at 18, this is 23. That's 8 years and 5 years respectively. Right?
Yes.
You don't want to do anything. You got parents around?
Yes, Mom lives in a whole different city from me, and my father is not in the picture.
Well, you want to be around for your mom. You know? Let's adjourn this. I want you to go over and get in sobriety court bond conditions. They're going to get you going right away. Let's get you taken care of. Okay? So we'll give you your notice and you go over to probation with them. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I'm not trying to be tough on you, sir. Me too. High breathalyzer. It'll be one of my top 10 or 12 of the year. It just will. And they're a lot higher now than they used to be. There was a time I could say that'll be my top 2 of the year, top 1 of the year. I don't know why. We got a drinking frenzy going on out there. You're all set. Good luck. Greg, good luck to you. Wish you well. Thank you. People against Jennifer Lynn White. File number 22B142857.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mike Hill Crawford representing Ms. White. Ms. White, for the record, please state your name.
Jennifer Lynn White.
She's going to plead to concealing stolen property, right?
Correct, Your
Is
Honor.
that what you want to do?
Yes.
You plead guilty here. The possible penalties are up to 500 fines, 90 days jail. Costs are all of those. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Did you sign, read, and understand the advice of rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you plead guilty, you'll be giving up all those rights, and there will not be a hearing, not be a trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
To the charge, concealing stolen property, how do you plead?
Guilty. Your
Were
Honor.
you at 24345 Helene Drive in Brownstown, September 9 of 22 at 9:45 p.m.?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes.
What'd you do?
I guess stole.
Wait a
took
second.
a. Yes. What do you mean?
I guess.
Okay.
They guess on Jeopardy. They guess on Wheel of Fortune. This is not a guessing game.
I
I want to know
understand that.
what you did that makes you guilty of concealing stolen property.
Okay. I stole a bottle of perfume.
From whom?
It was a friend of mine from high school.
Were you at a party at her house?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Were you at a party at her house?
No, sir.
You were a good enough friend where you went over there and she invited you over?
Well, we had like, we're talking on Marketplace on Facebook, and I went over there to buy some shoes.
And you bought the shoes,
Yes, sir.
but you stole some perfume.
Allegedly, yes.
Were you going to law school or something? What do
No,
you mean,
I'm just saying.
what do you mean allegedly? Did you steal perfume or
Yes,
not?
yes, Your
Did you
Honor.
take it and conceal it?
Yes, Your
Did you
Honor.
put it in your purse?
Yes, Your
Did you
Honor.
walk out with it without her permission?
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you mean allegedly? Right now, are you on probation or parole?
No, sir.
Anybody force you to plead guilty?
No,
Everything's
sir.
alleged now, Dean. Huh? What's that?
No, sir.
I'll accept your plea. I'm gonna refer you, were you drinking that day or drugging that day? Tell me the truth.
Yes,
What were you drugging with?
I was drinking.
So counsel, by the way, for purposes of arraignment, she stood mute, waive formal reading, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
So I'm accepting your plea. I'm gonna refer you for a screening and assessment. You got a drug problem or a drinking problem?
No, Your Honor.
You sure?
Absolutely positive.
Screening and assessment I'm ordering. I'm gonna give you a $500 personal bond. Here's your terms. You're to have no contact with the victim. You cannot leave the state without the consent of the court. You cannot violate any law or ordinance. You're not to have any contact with prosecution witnesses. You're not to enter 24345 Helene Drive. You're not to possess firearms. Well, wait a minute. You're to go over to, I don't believe you ever printed on this. You have to go over to Brownstown to get fingerprinted and photographed. Yeah, you have to go over there.
Okay, how long do I have to do that? Like, can I go tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll let you go tomorrow.
Okay.
By 3:30 on September the 7th. Okay,
It's just September 7th.
March the 7th.
It's been a long day.
Thank you for correcting. me.
It's been a long day.
March the 7th.
Okay. So 3:30 by tomorrow?
Yeah.
Screening and assessment, you'll go over there today. Those are your bond conditions. I don't know when they're gonna have you come back, but you have to be there at 3:30 tomorrow. By 3:30 tomorrow. How old are you, Ms. White?
32.
You working?
Not currently,
Why
no.
not?
What was that?
Why not?
I just actually had to move from my apartment and I was waiting to get into another place, so everything's kind of scattered right now. I have no
Did you
vehicle.
graduate?
Yes,
Why aren't you working?
it's just temporary, like,
When did you last work?
I would say about 4 months ago.
Why aren't
It
you
was,
working?
I was having family emergencies. I had medical problems. I had to
Okay.
get everything taken care of.
Okay, you gotta get to work though, right?
Yeah,
I mean, your criminal history just screams like a little bit. I mean, not screaming a lot, but it's screaming a little bit. It's telling me, I don't know, you had a 7411, you got another case pending out of Flat Rock, do you?
what?
Looks like one from August 20th. Did something happen in August? I don't know. A warrant was requested. I don't know. At any rate, you go over and get fingerprinted and photographed. Let's try to get you back on the right track and we'll go from there. No alcohol either. No alcohol, no illegal drugs. Go get printed by 3:30 tomorrow. And she will give you your bond sheet. She'll give you a copy of the order for prints. Okay?
Okay.
And you're gonna go across the hall to probation. And they're going to tell you when you're coming back for your screening and assessment. Anything else?
No, sir.
Good luck. Gary Allen Hayner. Gary Allen Hayner, 21F 707-623FY. Detective McKinchick, good morning. Your name?
Morning, Steve McKinstry,
Mr.
Flat Rock Police.
Mr. Hayner,
Yeah,
no moving vehicles. Pull over,
yes.
pull over.
Oh, Mom, you gotta pull over. All right, I'm sorry.
Oh, as soon as.
We're in a traffic jam like right now. I'm heading into treatment right now.
Listen. It's all over the notices.
All right. Mom, get in between these trucks and pull over.
Hang on a second.
There's not.
Listen.
I'm sorry. I was
Yeah,
not
you
aware.
should be. You
All
should
right.
be. Okay, this is common sense. You're charged here with a felony. Use your head.
I was on my way into treatment. I was supposed to be there by 10 o'clock. I apologize.
Sir, you have a court date. Pull over. Where's Mr. Hayner at?
I'm right here.
I'm sorry. Where is Mr. Who's here for NDS?
Mr. Martin disconnected.
That's me, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Martin,
I've been in,
Mr. Martin, in the future, will you do me a favor when you talk to your clients, will you school them that is entirely inappropriate for a defendant or a party to be in a moving motor vehicle when they have a case?
I understand, Your Honor, and Mr. Hayner actually was at his home prior, but he had somewhere to get to.
I don't care if he's going to see the president. If it
Understood.
has to be like this, I'm going to make everybody come in here and see me individually. It's ridiculous.
Mr. Hayner, is the car stopped now?
Yes.
All right.
You want, it's not stopped yet.
Yes, it stopped. We're stopped.
The car appears to be stopped.
You're going to be in person going forward at all subsequent hearings, Mr. Hayner. I want to be clear about that. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
People against Gary Allen Hayner, 21F707623. Mr. Martin, your name.
Yes, Neighborhood Defender Services Detroit, Carrie Martin, P84592, appearing on behalf of Mr. Gary Hayner. Mr. Hayner, please state your full name for the record.
Gary Allen Hayner.
Detective, your name?
Steve McKintrack, Flat Rock Police.
All right, so we're going to exam next week, March 14th at 10 o'clock.
Your Honor, Mr. Hayner is in the process of checking himself into an inpatient treatment center. He
I'm
expects
not
this
adjourning.
to-
I can't adjourn the exam.
Can we take this, roll this right downtown? Waive that.
Counsel, you do what you want. If you want to talk to your client, we'll be happy to put you in a breakout room, but I'm not putting the exam out for him to go in treatment. I'm just not going to do
Your
it.
Honor, I had just spoken with Prosecutor Sadra, who indicated that the exam might be set out 2 weeks. Would 2 weeks be
No.
possible?
Why? What's the reason for it?
I'm in
I already have
treatment.
it.
Because of Mr. Hayner's treatment.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I have also
sorry.
not.
He's going to be in treatment next week and he's going to be in treatment the week after, right? Is he
Correct.
going inpatient?
I'm going inpatient. Yes, I'm checking in at 10 o'clock.
Well, he's not going to, listen, Mr. Hayner, slow down. Counsel, I'm just not going to do it. He can either, I'm sorry, he'll be inpatient next week and he'll be inpatient the week after, and I'm not setting it out for a month. I'm sorry. So he can either.
Even if he was to waive his right to a preliminary exam within 21 days?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry.
Very well.
So you guys want to
if-
go in a breakout? You want to go in a breakout room and talk?
Please.
Yes, let's go in a breakout room. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Martin's back out there for Hayner.
Okay, let's bring them in. People against Gary Allen Hayner, 21F707623FY. All right, Mr. Martin, good morning again. Your appearance.
Gary Hayner.
Okay, I need you to start your video. There you go. Mr. Hayner, your name?
Gary Allen Hayner.
Mr. Martin.
Good morning, Judge. Neighborhood Defender Services Detroit, Carrie Martin, P84592, appearing on behalf of Mr. Gary Hayner.
All right, Detective.
Steve McKintrack, Flat Rock Police.
All right, what are we doing on this one? Is he still going to the exam next week?
Your Honor, I've spoken with Mr. Hayner, and understanding the rights he may be giving up, we would choose to waive the exam at this time and be bound over to the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice.
All right, I'm gonna need the prosecutor in here. I need the prosecutor, please, thanks. Okay, is that what you want to do, Mr. Hayner?
Yeah.
All right, so I want you to understand, I need to get the prosecutor in here because they have to likewise indicate that they have no objection to the waiver. So, Counsel, good morning, your appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Omar Shadra on behalf of the people, PH 6332.
All right, so I'm now told that they're going to waive. So I'm going to ask you to change your stip to indicate no objection to waiver, and if you have none, no objection to the continuation of the bond. So, sir, you're charged with a, let's see here, it's a second or subsequent offense notice on knowingly or intentionally possessing fentanyl. That's an 8-year felony. And you have a second offense notice, which means you could get 1.5 times the max, or in this case, 12 years. You have the right to a preliminary examination on this charge. Your lawyer tells me you wish to waive that right. Is that true?
Yes.
By waiving your right to a preliminary exam, you are waiving the right, or the requirement, I should say, that they prove that the crime was committed and that you were the one who probably committed the crime. Do you understand that?
Yep.
And you wish to give up your right to an exam?
Yes, I do.
Anybody force you to do that?
No.
And was the bond posted here at 7,500, 10%, counsel?
Yes, it was.
I just don't see any indication in the file. So I'm going to go ahead and accept the waiver. You're bound over for further proceedings to the Wayne County Circuit Court. Your arraignment on the information will take place on March the 21 at 9 a.m. in front of the presiding judge, Wayne Circuit, or such judge assigned. Bond is continued. The bond set by Judge Heston. No contact with prosecution witnesses. No alcohol, no illegal drugs, no bars, no marijuana, and you're to attend NA 5 times a week. Also, you cannot leave the state, cannot violate a law. You must appear in court as directed. And he did come over, Detective McKinchick, did he not, and get his prints taken?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Martin?
Sorry, you cut out for a second there. Are those NA class that condition of his trial release?
That is the bond that Judge Heston set on February 21.
Very well.
Okay.
Thank
so
you. Just wanted to clarify.
Nope, no problem. Anything else, Mr. Martin?
Nothing, Judge.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Hayner. March 21, 9 o'clock. Good luck. Thanks.
All right, thank you,
Thanks
man. I
for
was just wanted to say, if you guys keep the note rolling, that I did turn myself in on this matter also, and thank you very much. I appreciate you, and hopefully I don't talk to you anymore.
I hope you don't either.